So I see that the clock is ticking. Let me give the floor to David.
Mathieu. So same question about the challenges in terms of social and economic development, and how you think entrepreneurship can help overcome them in your ecosystem, and what are the main action that you have with E4Impact Foundation?
All right. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Perfectly.
Yes, as you've heard, I'm David from Kenya. And I'll just give you a bit of a background so that everyone understands Kenya where I'm coming from, and also these socio-economic challenges. So until 2019, Kenya was actually one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, with an average growth rate of about 5.9% GDP from 2010 to 2018. And we actually recently became a middle income status country. So we are actually very diversified and with a dynamic economy. Actually, we are referred to as the digital savannah, just because we managed to launch M-Pesa and other digital platforms. And we are also the entry point to the East African market that has more than 300 million population. But even with this kind of progress, we still have socio-economic challenges that really affect sustainable and inclusive growth. So some of the challenges that we face are really challenges to do with maybe sometimes corruption and economic inequality and lack of employment. Actually, they say that 2/3 of the Kenyan live below the poverty line. And majority of those are actually women and girls, and so who really suffer from what you call chronic vulnerability. And there's a very large gap between the rich and the poor. And these are some of the challenges that we face. So in some rural areas, there's still issues around poor nutrition, food insecurity, diseases, and so on. And anyway, these inequalities have to be dealt with in one way or another. So this is at a country level. At the entrepreneurial level, and some of the challenges that are faced by some of our entrepreneurs really many times are lack of entrepreneurial skills, because sometimes, and our previous speaker spoke about, as in many times people fall into entrepreneurship as a form of necessity, not because they wanted to be, but because they didn't have something to do. So they fall into entrepreneurship for lack of a job and so on. So, and in this way they lack, let's say, skills to run businesses. They still also lack of adequate the finance and limited access to credit. If you're a small or a young entrepreneur, you need to provide some security to get a loan in a bank, and many times maybe you don't have that. The other challenge that entrepreneurs face are new regulations, new forms of taxes, and the government keeps increasing or introducing new forms of taxes every other time, and this is really a bit stifling to young entrepreneurs. And then I think I've spoken about the lack of entrepreneurial skills and knowledge, because people venture into it and without proper skills before. And then the last challenge, which I would think affects entrepreneurs particularly, sometimes poor infrastructure if you're in some rural areas, and as E4Impact, sometimes we work in some rural communities. There is lack of infrastructure, poor roads. There's sometimes high cost of electricity or lack of electricity completely, and this stifles the business, or if they wanted to do some business, this then becomes a stifling factor. So these are some of the socio-economic challenges that face Kenya in general, and actually entrepreneurs in particular. But I think that what are entrepreneurs doing to overcome them? And this is a good question, really, because I think really entrepreneurship in Kenya is really the engine for growth. And over the last period, even the development sector has actually realized this, and now they're pushing more for what you'd call from aid to trade. How do you support more trade instead of just development aid and handout? Because through trade, it's more sustainable. And I think that what entrepreneurs do to overcome these challenges, for sure they identify existing opportunities in the market. We've had entrepreneurs within our programs who, because of the social challenges they came or they were raised up in, when they grow up and they have an opportunity, they think, I must solve this challenge. So they identify challenges and turn them into business opportunities. So this is one thing that entrepreneurs are doing. And then the second thing that they do is that they create employment opportunities. Actually, one of our motto as E4Impact is that we work with job creators, not job seekers. We actually want to work with people who create jobs, first for themselves, and then secondly for others. And we see this as really a key role that entrepreneurs are doing. For sure, they are contributing to the national income. They pay taxes and so on, and it's a good thing. And then we've seen entrepreneurs coming up with solutions, maybe construction, infrastructural solutions. We have one of our alumni company that has come up with affordable building hardware. So from plastic waste to creating building blocks or bricks from just plastic waste. So this is what the innovations from the entrepreneurs bring. And then we've seen also the contribution to community development, as in where there is entrepreneurial activity, most times there is already community that is engaged, because then if you have a small factory, you're sourcing from the community and all that community is engaged. And this is bringing economic development. So these are really maybe a bit of some of the opportunities which entrepreneurs are tapping into and responding to the prior existing socio-economic challenges. So to your third question, what are we doing specifically as E4Impact to respond to these challenges? So E4Impact, we actually have 3 goals that we actually implement. One is to train and coach a new generation of impact entrepreneurs. And here we actually underline the word impact entrepreneurs, because they could either be called social or impact entrepreneurs. And these are entrepreneurs who care about the triple bottom line. So they want to have economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. So we have many training programs that we work with them to work with this group. Then we also develop partnership and market linkages between Europe and Africa, so that some of our entrepreneurs, we introduce them to the European market to trade and do business and have some technological transfer. And then the third thing that we do as E4Impact is we have a partnership with several African universities, actually right now 18 of them, who run our Impact Entrepreneurship MBA program. And we work with these African universities to become the leading voice of impact entrepreneurship in their country. So I think that with an evolution and what we've done over years, so more than 10 years of, let's say, running the MBA program, we've actually now moved from what we call the MBA program, which was the niche program we were having, to what we are calling Entrepreneurship Centers. And this is really to make entrepreneurship more popular, as in to the local persons. Because at the MBA level, it would mean that we are dealing with people who already have undergraduates. But with the entrepreneurship centers, we're able to serve everyone at any level. So we are working with startups, we're working with rural entrepreneurs, we're working with smallholder farmers, and just bringing entrepreneurship skills and capacity building for them to be able to not consider themselves as farmers, but agri-entrepreneurs, people who, through the trade or the common thing they're doing, they start to perceive themselves as entrepreneurs. And for sure, this means a lot of mindset change for someone, women, youth, to still consider themselves as entrepreneurs. And so there is really a lot of changing attitudes that we are seeing. Right now in Kenya than before. If you are in a failure in the past, then you would go into entrepreneurship. But right now, with the successful entrepreneurs that I imagine, it's starting to seem like entrepreneurship is cool. It's actually cool to be an entrepreneur. It's actually cool as a young person, either in high school or university, to start thinking about launching a business. So these are, let's say, pull factors that are really pushing us to get into popular entrepreneurship. And then we have some push factors, as in now the donor community is really investing into enterprise development. As in we're working with different donors, the EU, the French Development Corporation, the French Embassy, the the World Bank, AFDB, USAID, Danida, and they're investing into programs like ours that are really supporting entrepreneurship. And also the African governments are actually doing something to also promote entrepreneurship. So upskilling of youth in digital entrepreneurship, as in countries are making the ease of doing business in Africa is becoming easier and easier. If you have to think about a country like Rwanda, maybe it takes you a day to register your business. It's a great thing. And this is a cool thing. And then there is also a rise of impact investing in Africa. And this is how it's supporting entrepreneurship, and us as E4Impact, we are tapping into this impact investing space. And just to give you some statistics, in our last cohort, 2 cohorts of acceleration programs, we actually managed to support our entrepreneurs raise up to $3 million US dollars of investment, of external investment. And this was a great thing. So right now we are serving more than 2,000 entrepreneurs in our different programs, where we are giving them a lot of support. So market linkages, fundraising and linking them to investors. We're supporting them increase their revenues by working to farm up their business models. We are working to support them with compliance and processes issues, and also to rebrand and give them publicity and visibility in the local market, and also through the digital platform, so that they can actually be able to sell even online and attract buyers and customers abroad. So this is the role that we are really playing. So that's what I could tell you as in terms of, let's say, the challenges, what entrepreneurs are doing, and what we are doing as E4Impact to really respond and handhold and build the capacity of the entrepreneurs we are working with. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was a very comprehensive picture. I felt I was in Kenya with you, so that's perfect. Before I go to Mathieu, we have a question in the chat box asking whether you have experience in matching funds from different sources, public and private, and to put in place blended finance mechanisms for impact-driven enterprises. And because you talked about how many funds you managed to raise for entrepreneurs, but maybe you can tell us a bit more about the sources of this funding, whether private, public, how it works.
Yeah. So I actually mentioned, and I'd say that in the last, let's say, 2 cohorts, we managed to raise about 3 million USD for the entrepreneurs we are working with. So it was 2 cohorts of about 40 entrepreneurs. Some of that funding actually came from corporate sources. So we work with Eni, the energy company, and they actually gave us 150,000 as grants. And this sort of was a catalytic funding, because if an entrepreneur who we had given a grant of even 10,000 or 15,000 euro was able to show that they had already had some initial grant, then it was easy for them to get private equity funding. And so it's sort of a blended, and even with the French embassy here in Kenya, we've run some competition and they've even given some awards. So sometimes we're able to get some award or prize money, as in from some sources. Right now in our new cohort of acceleration program, we have almost up to 750,000 euro, which we're going to give out as seed equity and a bit of a revolving fund. And it's a small amount if you're to look at, I don't know, you're serving, 100 enterprises, but it catalyzes enough, and it actually shows proof that this is an investable business. And with this initial sort of funding, then it's easy for an external impact fund to see that this company has already attracted a bit of financing and can actually match up or actually invest in that business. But I think that the networking with the impact investment world is very critical. But we have to look at it from the entire spectrum, from the ones that let's say invest from early or idea stage to the one that actually go to private or equity financing. But it's a lot of work, but it's also interesting. And if your entrepreneur is able to raise, 500,000 euro or $1 million, you're really proud about such a result, because you know the kind of impact it would have. Yeah.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much.